Hey everybody, welcome back. The Bridesmaid from Hell, or How to Lose a Friend in 3 Days. Submitted by Reddit user Awkward Penguin 101. I'm ready. Are you ready? Disclaimer. This is a long and crazy story that happened over the course of 3 days, so brace yourselves. Background. Some time ago, I was the maid of honor in my best friend's wedding. Due to the wedding being an event that happened during the pandemic and having to adhere to certain restrictions, it was a family-only affair. There were only 2 exceptions to this rule. Me and the other bridesmaid, a friend of the bride from college. Location. The events described and wedding happened at a private location, the bride's in-laws' house. The wedding happened during a Saturday afternoon. Bridesmaid from Hell was scheduled to arrive at the wedding location a night prior, but due to some unexpected situation at work, it was too late to make this trip that day. Both me and her were supposed to be staying overnight in the in-laws' house in their guest bedroom. While me and my husband had been there for a few days, she was scheduled to stay a few days after the wedding. The day of the wedding, everyone, including the bride, were ready to go, but no bridesmaid from Hell. Deciding that they could not postpone, bride and groom went along with the wedding as scheduled at 12 noon. They only texted bridesmaid from Hell once to ask her when she would be arriving. After the ceremony was done, while en route to the reception, they received a message from her apologizing and telling them that she would be arriving at around 4 to the reception. Bride and groom were scheduled to leave for a mini honeymoon at 6. Bridesmaid from Hell and date arrive at 5:30 dressed in yoga pants and sports shorts. They go change their clothes, take a few pictures with the happy couple, and then take a plate each and start eating. Just showing up for that dinner plate, eh? Was that like a post-workout snack or something? I picture them just like going to the gym and then being like, I'm kind of hungry. Oh, you know what? We're totally gonna have free food at the wedding. We should go. Bride and groom leave for their planned honeymoon, and bridesmaid from Hell and date go to have a walk and take Instagram pictures. They return after a few hours, change their clothes again, and go to the restaurant to eat. They return at the end of the party and sit outside with the remaining people, include the mother-in-law and father-in-law. Everyone, though annoyed with them, treats them politely but coldly. While talking with them, we socially distanced and wore masks all day long even before they arrived. We find out that they are anti-vaxxers. Everyone quickly leaves after this. Uh-oh. The next day, me and my husband take a trip to surprise bride, planned with groom, to the hotel they were staying at to enjoy the sights. The plan was for bridesmaid from Hell to join us, but date didn't wake up in time to take her. We heard later on from mother-in-law and father-in-law that it turned into real drama and ruined their morning peace with screaming and crying. In the afternoon and evening, we had only seen them once, briefly, and that was it. They were treating the house as an Airbnb, and mother-in-law and father-in-law as annoying hosts. Mother-in-law and father-in-law are some of the most kind and empathetic people I have met. The night we left. It was early morning when the bride started sending me messages from her honeymoon telling us about some disturbances. None of us had any idea about the shit show that was ready to unfold. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for the shit show. Let's do it! Let's go! I'm ready! Date of bridesmaid from Hell had to work that day, being already a Monday. He got up and went to the kitchen to make himself a coffee without wearing a mask. Father-in-law was there and asked him to put a mask on, as both him and mother-in-law are vulnerable. To which the date answered, "Get lost," and refused to put the mask on. It was then when mother-in-law and father-in-law decided they would not put up with being disrespected in their own house and told them they had to leave. I think that's fair. Your house, your rules. Bridesmaid from Hell runs into the bedroom and locks herself in there and tells them they can't leave as date has to work. Mother-in-law and father-in-law called bride and groom, told them about the situation, and requested for them to return to sort it out. After the bride had a talk with the bridesmaid from Hell, they agreed to let them stay there until the end of the date's shift. It was decided they would leave around 5 to 6, so bride and groom went back to do their own things. By the time 7 rolls around, I text bride and ask her about the situation and if the unwanted guests had left. Apparently, at 6 they tried sneaking into the kitchen to make themselves something to eat. When caught by father-in-law, they ran and locked themselves in the bedroom and yelled from behind closed doors that they would be staying for another 2 to 3 days because the date doesn't like driving after dark. At that point, father-in-law called brother-in-law to come help get rid of the bridesmaid from Hell. Father-in-law was yelling from the terrace, "Get out of my house," while mother-in-law was doing the same from the front yard when brother-in-law arrived. What? He managed to evacuate them after threatening to break through the door and kick them out himself, if needed, so they left. Yeah, that's all it took, eh? Just like a couple of threats. On the way back home, bridesmaid from hell texts bride that she's appalled by the treatment she received and that she hopes this doesn't break their friendship. Yeah, I think that ship has long sailed. What bizarre entitled behavior. Okay, all of this could have been solved if you would have just found your own accommodations, okay?
Wait, what?
Invite bridesmaid to stay in your house. End up having a squatter or two. I would have called the police and not bride and groom. Yeah, I was kind of thinking as to why you wouldn't call the police in that situation. You literally had squatters in your house that wouldn't leave. They kept eating your food. What the hell? Agreed, zero mercy after that get lost comment. It sounded like they were trying to establish a tenancy so they could become squatters.
See, I'm telling you.
I understand the parents' standpoint though, not wanting to destroy their daughter's relationship while they were off on their honeymoon. It would be well deserved for them to have called the police though. I don't know, would you have called the cops in this situation? I probably would, to be honest. One time I was looking for a roommate. I thought I had found a girl, and then the minute that this girl moves in, she starts acting like super weird. And so I told her I'm not living with her and that she needed to move her stuff out the day she moved in, all right? I didn't just do this for nothing. She was mean the minute that she walked through the door. And I'm like, I'm not allowing this to happen. You're literally disrespecting me in my own house. You just got here, leave. And it got to the point where she refused to leave my house until she got her deposit back, which I sent via e-transfer. But if you're from Canada, you know that sometimes e-transfers take a little while. She refused to leave until it went through, and I actually was like afraid that I was gonna have to call the cops. If you ever are invited to stay at someone else's house, be you a roommate, be you a friend, or whatever, I'm sorry, but that's not your house and you can't disrespect the people that live there. My house, my rules. So if you thought that was bad, I found some other bridesmaids from hell that are even worse. Dear Prudence, how can you tell when you're being justifiably stubborn and when you're just making things worse? My 20-year-old sister has been uninvited to my wedding after she went to my fiance's bachelorette party, announced she had a special surprise guest, and then wheeled in a skeleton dressed up in a Sister of the Bride t-shirt. My fiance's younger sister died when she was 16. You know, as someone who knows what is funny and what is not, most of the time, that's not funny. Okay? I'm also not talking to my sister right now. I don't know what you could even say. She's never liked my fiance, but I still can't believe she did something so theatrically cruel. My family all want me to back down. She overstepped, but it was just a joke. You know she likes to be edgy. She's devastated. Come on, she's a dumb kid and it didn't mean anything. She's very sorry and just wants to get back to normal. The only person I haven't heard from is my sister. Other than her telling me to get over it, it wasn't like it was a dead sister's actual skeleton. Oh my god. No, I guess it wasn't, but you're right. It wasn't that bad. You're right. When you put things into perspective like that, you really held back, didn't you? I'm so glad you didn't dig up the grave and bring the actual skeleton. What? I'm sorry for laughing. This is just really messed up, and the logic here is what's laughable, not the situation, the logic. I have stood firm, probably for the first time in my life. This was such an indescribably cruel thing to do to anyone, whether I love them or not, that I can't just sweep it under the rug. So now my side of the family, parents, brothers, aunts, and cousins aren't coming to the wedding? Good. Which is fine. They can get a bunch of skeletons and hold their own. I don't care. The thing is that at this point, even my fiance wants me to just give in to keep the peace. Y'all know how I feel about that. She says that it's not worth causing so much disruption over a stupid prank that went wrong, except it wasn't a prank. No one considered that funny and genuinely expect people to laugh. I'm not sure what to do. My fiance was the one injured by this, and she wants me to stop. Although her parents know what happened and were furious, so I don't know how they'd react if my sister, a bridesmaid, smirked her way down the aisle the day of. I feel like I'm right, but no one else seems to agree, and no one is even trying to make my sister apologize. I feel that it's so clear she's in the wrong, but at this point, all the blame is on me. I've started to wonder if I'm really the one in the wrong here by not letting it go. Signed, how can you tell when you're the bad guy? Honestly, I think that we all need partners who will stick up for us in situations where we don't want to stick up for ourselves, or we're too much of a pushover to stick up for ourselves. I don't think that you're the bad guy, and I think in hindsight, you know, later in life, you guys are gonna realize that by not inviting your sister to the wedding, you did the right thing. Because if you just kind of let it slide, then this sister is not gonna realize what a terrible thing she did. She clearly doesn't realize it yet. So unfortunately, if there's no consequences for her actions, she's not gonna realize that what she did was wrong. I'm a little worried about your sister. I'm wondering how it's like not possible to understand how absolutely horribly wrong that is. But let's see what Reddit had to say. The wise people of Reddit always know what they're talking about. The fiance is mentally, physically, and spiritually a better person than me, because if my partner's sister did anything as terrible as that at my hen party, I would nurture the resulting grudge as if it were my firstborn. I would neither forgive nor forget. It is also entirely possible my initial reaction would have landed the story on primetime television. My worry is if this sister thought it was okay to do this at a bachelorette party, imagine what she could do at the wedding. All right, we have one more bridesmaid from hell to judge. Are you ready to judge? Because I definitely am. Would I be the a-hole if I deleted my friend's engagement pictures? Okay. I got married last fall. Where I live, fall means that the trees are changing colors, so the wedding pictures are to die for. We didn't have a huge budget, so a friend of mine asked her friend if she could do it for me. I had seen some of her work, and she's really talented, plus she's a total sweetheart. The only thing is, for what she charges, and since it's more of a hobby, you'll get your pictures when you'll get them. Well, I got them, and now I need to know if what I'm about to do falls in the a-hole territory. A few days after my wedding, my friend announced to me that she was engaged. I was ecstatic and wanted to know everything. Turns out she got engaged at my wedding. And didn't tell you? My brain gets out of its vegetative state, and I remember her table being way too excited at some point, but I blamed the alcohol. I wasn't thrilled about it, realizing then that she had basically not only gotten engaged at my wedding, but instead of hiding it and announcing it later, she announced it to our friends during the party. It was a tough pill to swallow, but I figured whatever, it's not like I even realized what was happening. We did have a discussion about it, and she didn't seem to understand why I was upset until I put it into perspective for her, asking her how she would feel if I made a big announcement at her wedding, taking the attention away from her big moment. In my friend's mind, it's no longer the day I got married. It is now also the day she got engaged, on my dime. We eventually turned the page, and I thought it was over. Well, I've sort of been friends with my photographer since the wedding because of common interests. At some point, she point blank told me that now we are closer, she feels comfortable asking me what to do with my friend's pictures because it makes her really uncomfortable. During the evening, the wedding party took a break to go change. And during that time, my photographer was taking pictures of the foliage and the venue. My friend apparently asked her to take pictures of her and her boyfriend. She didn't really see a problem since we weren't back yet and they were guests. That's until she realized they were engagement pictures. Some poses just don't leave place to interpretation. So when she asked me what to do that, accidents happen, I told her just to put them in a separate folder. Ever since, I've been thinking about what am I gonna do with that folder. My friend has been asking about my wedding pictures periodically, but haven't asked about her pictures specifically. That's because she did it secretly and she doesn't want you to know. It was easy when I didn't have them, but now I do. I've had them since April, and I know she will eventually come out of hiding now that COVID restrictions are loosened. I want to delete the folder since they are my property, but I don't want to be a major a-hole. Before you say it, I do realize I haven't forgiven her at all like I initially thought. Oh, this is funny. You guys are funny. Okay, I hate being the bigger person. I hate it so much. I don't want to be the bigger person all the time. I honestly kind of feel bad for the photographer. I feel bad for the bride, but I feel bad for the photographer who thought that she was shooting a wedding and then also additionally had to
Oh, by the way, we're also just gonna have an engagement shoot right now.
I'm sorry, my rate is as follows. Please sign this contract. I don't know. I know that she should. I know that she totally could. I still probably wouldn't delete them though, but that's just me. The thing about engagement photos is you can actually hire a photographer, especially if they weren't like the engagement moment, you know what I mean? This, from what I understand, wasn't the engagement moment, the moment that he proposed. This was just a time when they went off and took some engagement pictures together, which you can do while not at someone else's wedding and pay for it. Oh wow, not the a-hole. You would be well within your rights. Announcing an engagement at someone's wedding is awful, but I would have been okay to let it go like you. She might not have known a proposal was coming and they didn't announce it to the room at large. Your initial response to her was good. But the photographer thing is unacceptable. I think I'd keep her hanging. Ooh. Let her see the photos you've chosen of your special day. Never mention hers. Ooh, that's petty. I like that. Don't delete them, but just kind of hold them hostage. You know what I mean? If she asks, you can then make her explain why she got your photographer, whose time you had paid for and allocated to take pictures that weren't about your day. You can choose whether to delete the photos or charge for them. Hey, that's an idea. But hopefully she will be sufficiently embarrassed and it will make her think. If not, I'm not certain I would actually want her as a friend. Charge her for the photos. It was tacky to get engaged at the wedding, but extra shifty to ask for photos on your dime. That's so funny. Not the a-hole. If you don't delete them, overcharge her for the photos. Has she had an engagement party or plans to have one? If not, charge her for half the photograph fees since she insists on making your wedding her engagement experience. So don't delete them. Hold them hostage and charge money. You're not the a-hole, my dear. Subscribe.